Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sunday edition of Talking Horses from our third floor clubhouse studios on the Big A. Anthony Stabile, filling in for the vacationing Andy Serling. He'll be back on Wednesday. I'm about to be joined, like he will be on Wednesday, by David Aragona. 10-race card. Going to speed up post times a little bit, chop about a half hour off the card. Some rain coming in mid-afternoon. We'll try and get everything, including the Grade 3 Athena, on the turf. I don't think we'll have that much of a problem. Not supposed to be a ton of rain. This is the outer portions of Tropical Storm Nestor that are actually hitting us, hitting Laurel, a little further south of us, but should be a good day of racing here at Belmont. Just one more week. We'll close the big girl up next Sunday. We'll have that mandatory payout in the Empire 6. There's over 144,000 waiting for you today in the Empire 6. Starts in race 5 on the 10-race card. Play it all over at Naira Bets. Fall 19's the promo code. Bet 200 to get 200. That's a new member sign-up bonus. Head over to Naira Bets for more details. You can now fund your Naira Bets account via Apple Pay. Fast, easy, and secure. NairaBets.com/Apple Pay to get money in your Naira Bets account through Apple Pay. Over at Naira Bets this afternoon, $10 bonus Sunday to our neighbors to the north. Woodbine, bet $100 at Woodbine, earn a $10 bonus. That's win or lose. It is app only, though, and it's for this Sunday, October 20th. Again, NairaBets.com for more details. Win a bundle today, and then come see me, Maggie Wolfendale, and Steve Grabowski Wednesday, October 30th, just 10 days from the inaugural Breeders' Cup Bash over at King Umberto's. We'll handicap all 14 races for the Breeders' Cup World Championships. They're $80 a piece. You can pay via PayPal at thebigastabile@AOL.com. If you don't PayPal, you can contact me through that email. You get a 4-course meal, PPs for the Classic, a souvenir bag as well. Portion of the night's proceeds go to both Old Friends Farm and the Belmont Child Care Association, and a house right here on the backstretch at Belmont Park. What's happening, David?
Not too much. Great day of racing yesterday with the New York Breds. I mean, we won't go through all of it, but I mean, some real highlights, some close finishes. I mean, that battle between Voodoo Song and Gucci Factor was thrilling, and seeing Mr. Buff win the Empire Classic, just great to see a horse like that really excelling at age 5. I mean, him and Pat on the back, I was looking it up, actually faced off in the Sleepy Hollow as 2-year-olds.
Wow.
And it's just pretty cool to see them both, duking it out 3 years later.
Nice stretch duel in the Sleepy Hollow as well.
Yeah. No, that was a fun race too. Jeremiah Engelhardt having those 2 horses, Cleon Jones and the winner, whose name is escaping me now, but he really moved up second time out. Some nice horses on display yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of fun. New York Bred Day, especially the original, the OG for New York Bred Days, the Empire Showcase Day. We have 3 now, Memorial Day as well as Travers Eve. A lot of fun yesterday on the card. I was down at Maryland for another exciting renewal of the Maryland Million. But it was a good weekend of racing. We'll wrap it up with this 10-race card on Sunday. The first is a $20,000 non-winners of 3 lifetime claimer. Field of 5 going to go a flat mile. Horse who figures to be the big favorite here is on the outside, the number 5, Danny California. Here he is. Love taking these trips back to the old spa, especially when the chill comes in the air here. This was closing day on that sloppy track, and you see Danny California getting the job done under Joel Rosario up the inside.
I don't think there's any doubt that if this horse repeats his last 2 or his last speed figure on the dirt, he's probably going to win this race. The real question for Danny California is when you just look through his recent PPs and also just going back to last season, his best races have really come on wet tracks.
Yep.
Is he a horse that really moves up on that wet going, and is he going to run as well on a fast track today? That's the major question for him, though I don't deny that based on his last few dirt efforts, he's the horse to beat.
Yeah, it was tough for me to get past him. I copped out and put him on top. You went a different direction. Desert Lights was coming back very quickly. You picked this horse Wednesday, so you might as well take him again on Sunday.
I did, yes. And now he's in a different barn, cleaned by Randy Persaud. I sent in the pace projector for this race, and we can take a look at it. And it's part of the reason that I'm picking this horse is there's just no speed in this race. And We'll see if it really helps Desert Lights to be, if he's going to be aggressively ridden. This apprentice rider who's riding him, I believe, has just ridden in one race so far. And
it was an amateur race, so
yes.
This is his professional debut.
And I did go back and watch it. It was an amateur race at Parks, and I will say he looked a lot more professional than the other amateurs he was riding against. He actually gave a pretty confident ride to the horse that he rode to victory that day, and he rode that horse on the lead the entire way, so hopefully he sends this horse to the lead. I think Desert Lights is fast enough to make the lead coming out of those sprint races. He's got a series of speed figures that just would make him real tough in here, and I feel like off the claim, people might ignore him a little bit, but Randy Persaud, going back years, actually does well when he claims horses and brings them back in less than a week. That's one of his moves, so maybe he can get this one to run a good race.
Yeah, it should be on the lead, like you said. We'll see if the 10-pound bug, hopefully, if you like him today, he gets excited and just puts the Desert Lights on the front end. Maybe that'll get that a little bit of hang out of him as well. We'll see. The other horse, I guess, Purchasing Power, Rosario, stays here. He won with this one last time. He won with Danny California. He rides Purchasing Power back in here for AC Avila. He won over the track. I guess he makes some sense as the other horse in here.
Yeah, there's a disparity in quality between the nominators of 2 races and the nominators of 3 lifetime races in these condition claiming events, but it's not like this one came up the toughest spot. I just thought he'd have to run a little bit faster.
All right. That starts the early pick 5. Early pick 4 kicks off in the second maiden special weight event for the 2-year-olds. 6 furlongs on the Widener course. You take out the AE, the 8 Moon over Miami. Let's go to Turned Aside, last time out. And that's just what he was. He was turned aside. He was on the front end trying to close the door, but Jack and Noah from Marcassi came a calling late.
Yeah, Jack and Noah didn't really show what he could do next time out when they tried the Futurity because he just sort of ran off in the early going, but I still think he ran really well in this debut effort, running down Turned Aside. I mean, Turned Aside did what you'd expect. He took a big step forward off his debut for Linda Rice. She's so good second time out. He just ran into a horse last time that's a little bit better than him. He might be catching the right field today, although there are some interesting firsters to consider.
Yeah. He also, there was just 3 weeks between his starts. He improved 11 buyer points, and now not much more of a break between just 23 days as he comes back here. Stays at the 6 furlongs. He's run at 6 furlongs twice now, as both of his races have come downstate here at Belmont Park. Another one. I don't want to say this was a default pick. You picked the other horse that I thought made a little bit of sense, the Todd Pletcher first, and the number 9 Gunman.
Yeah, there are plenty of nice pedigrees in this race. The one that I thought was the best turf pedigree is the one on the number 9 Gunman, because he's by Warfront. It's sort of a speed over stamina pedigree, because Warfront obviously injects some speed, and Courtesan the Dam, she won going, I think, a mile and 3/8. She was a stakes winner. She really wanted to run all day. The entire female family is really stamina oriented. This one, Todd Pletcher has been working on nothing but turf up at Saratoga, so I mean, obviously he's been prepping him for this surface. If he can run a little bit, Todd sometimes has these horses ready to go first time out in the
And I think that's a great point to make. The fact that this horse stayed at Saratoga. Remember, up at Saratoga, pretty much any horse that's stable up there can work on the turf. Down here at Belmont Park, you need to be nominated for a stakes race. So I think it's important that there is certainly intent to keep this horse on the lawn by keeping him in Saratoga. We both have the number 10 Imperial Moment in the mix. Hall of Famer Bill Mott. This is not something Bill Mott is, the barn does not do this very well.
Yeah, I originally was giving this horse a look because I thought he ran okay behind Turned Aside. His debut ran the kind of race that you think maybe he could take a step forward out of that second time out. But I found this stat for Bill Mott, which is not that encouraging. It's not like this horse is going to be a favorite. He's probably going to be around 5 or 6 to 1. But I mean, 0 for 16 with just 3 finishing in the money. This is really not Bill Mott's forte. He tends to do better in the route races in this situation. This one does have a big turf pedigree, and he's by American Pharaoh, so he might have some quality. Just has to improve a little bit.
Yeah, some natural improvements. Second time out. Manelik on the rail. We both have this son of American Pharaoh. Speaking of the 2015 Triple Crown champ in the mix as well. Jonathan Thomas, they paid $550 for this horse last year at Keeneland. Sports Lasix. A pretty solid work tab, but most of his good works have come on the dirt.
Yeah, and the pedigree says dirt too, because he's a half-brother to Wedding Toast, who won over $1 million, was a Grade 1 winner in the dirt. The Dam's a half to Congaree, so it really is more of a dirt pedigree, although American Pharaoh has had success as a turf sire.
And we'll see if that American Pharaoh takes to the lawn in his debut from the rail. Race number 3, $10,000 claimers are going to go 7/8 on the main track. Just a field of 5 in here. Where'd you land? Did we find the same one? No, we still have not found the
No.
same one. Okay.
I mean, this race is a real doozy. There's not a lot of form to go on. You really can't trust anybody. The two horses that look like they've run the fastest races, Little Nanny and Stella B, are both coming off layoffs, so it's a little hard to trust them. I have no problem with the horse you put on top, Miss Loyalty. I considered putting her on top. She's got back races that would make her very tough. Her recent form is not great, but maybe she can turn things around because this is a drop in class. I put Princess Micaiah on top just because I wanted a wacky horse and a wacky race. And, you know, she's no great shakes, but she runs well and she gives an honest effort most of the time. I actually think Joey Martinez has ridden her well. He tends to save ground, put the horses in the right position. So if the others just kind of fall apart, I'm not going to be shocked if she, as perhaps the biggest price on the board, can fall into the victory.
It was kind of hard for me, as I assume it was for you, to put either Stella B or Little Nanny on top just off the layoffs. The fact that Stella B, who's never been on the circuit, and Little Nanny has had some success, but most of her success has come out of town as well. I just wanted one of the horses that was down here, and I think if you're gonna pick against them, the only places you can go are Miss Loyalty or Princess Micaiah.
Yeah, Little Nanny's a horse that I think might fool people because he's got those big speed figures, but they're at Finger Lakes, and I think you have to be careful with that.
Yeah, they're around the 2 turns at Finger Lakes. I think that's important to take a look at as well with her, you know, and obviously the class relief up there as well. Yeah, I guess any combination of those 4 could win.
Yeah,
and Zeka could always come running
it's
one of her
it's
races.
kind of an all race. I don't like to say that about races, but it really is. I could see them all winning.
Yeah, I can absolutely see them all winning as well. We're each offering you a little bit of a price alternative to the 2 favorites. Race number 4, back to the turf. 1 mile and 1/8 on the inner, so it starts right before that first turn here on the inner. Take out the MTOs, the 4 and the 5. Colleen Bond and Bacchanalia come out of this September 5th heat. Colleen Bond coming off a 2-month break. Bacchanalia was coming off a 10-month break.
Yeah, I wanted to show the beginning of this race to look mostly at Bacchanalia because she's going to get very rank under Arad Ortiz as he's trying to get her to settle behind horses. You can see right here, she starts really throwing her head around. He's trying to place her behind horses to get her to settle, and she is just sticking her nose up in the air. She's not settling. She's going to do it right again here as they break for the turn. She's just really rank and just not wanting to settle behind these horses. It's hard to fight your rider like that at the beginning of a marathon or a longer turf race like this and still have something left at the end. And I think you're going to see she just kind of flattens out when we see these horses coming down the lane. I don't know how to say her name. Colleen Bond. She runs pretty well in this race. I think she's a horse that really did relish the stretch out in distance to the 1 1/4 and the 1 5/16 last time. Do you think she's going to be as effective cutting back to the 1 1/8 here?
I don't. I put a 4th for that reason. I just think her numbers, and I know the numbers that she ran earlier in her career, obviously she's done some maturing since then, but is it really 12 points? You know, is it worth the 12 points? I agree with you. I think she was just a little more relaxed and a little more comfortable going the added distances, and I think it's a hindrance cutting her back.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, she was 6-5 last time at Kentucky
We could
Downs.
put the 4th race picks up, guys.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how much stock I want to put into races from Kentucky Downs in general, but she did lose as a favorite last time and didn't have a real excuse that day. She can win this race. I thought she and In Front were likely to take a lot of money in this spot because, I mean, these Shug McGahee second-time starters that run well first time out, they always seem to take money.
Yeah. And just to be clear, my picks for the 4th race are 6, 2, 8, 1.
And I am 6'2", 1'7".
Okay, so we both land
agree.
in the same. We both land on Bacchanalia. There we go. Yeah, I just assumed that Bacchanalia would be sitting off of a still in here. I think Arad's going to be a little, I don't want to say aggressive, but I think he's going to let her run a little more, having that experience of, fighting her a little bit last time. I think he's maybe just going to give her a head today and maybe just sit off of a still and see what In Front does in her second start.
Yeah, I'm really going back to her debut as a 2-year-old at Saratoga because I thought she actually ran pretty well that day. And here we're looking at actually Estill and
In Front.
And In Front, who might be vying for favoritism in this race. And just to mention this briefly, I mean, Estill was on a pretty moderate pace, and I didn't think she had a major excuse to lose, although she did take a step forward here, and in front just kind of ran evenly like a first-time starter that probably needed the race and can move forward second time out. But getting back to Bacchanalia, I thought that she ran well in her debut behind Princessa Carolina, who's actually turned out to be a pretty good stakes horse. She kind of had a little bit of traffic that day and was running on well at the end. Like I said last time, she got very rank in that July race. Chad Brown's given her a lot of time between races. I imagine this is a horse that he's had to do quite a bit of work with because she's been a little green. But if she can finally figure things out, I think that she might be one that takes a step forward and can beat these.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we might actually get that 7-2 that you have on the morning line. The two inside horses have to take some money. Chad has another one here, the 8, Ava Malone, who's coming off a 9-month layoff of her own, but she went down to Monmouth. Yeah. But she'll take some money, as I would imagine. So I think we'll get that 7-2 today for the first time, both on the same top pick, the number 6. Bacchanalia in race number 4. Race 5 kicks off today's Empire 6. Again, 144,000 plus in the carryover. The only way to take down the entire pool is if you have a unique ticket. It's 20-cent minimum, so need that unique ticket, though, to take down the jackpot. Starter allowance foe is going to go a flat mile in here. Here is Jerome Avenue and Allured. Last time out, finishing 1-2 in a 42 life. This was in a sea of slop here back on October 3rd, and it was Jerome Avenue's dirt debut.
So Jerome Avenue, actually a second dirt start. He was in an off-the-turf race prior to that, actually behind Danny California, who was running in the first race. It was a big step forward for them. It was far better than that other dirt performance. Like Danny California, though, he's a horse that really has relished the slop in his last 2 starts. And I think the big question for Jerome Avenue is he going to be as effective on a fast track? Because there's no doubt that if he runs this speed figure back, he's going to be really tough in this race. I'm just pretty skeptical. And also, I found this stat for Steve Asmussen off the claim. Now, I want to note, this is excluding Saratoga. It's really just, the Toby Sheets run stable at Belmont and Aqueduct, first off the claim on the dirt, not the strongest numbers. So I was a little bit against Jerome Avenue in this spot.
Yeah, Barnes going well right now, winning it with over a third of their starters. But yeah, this number, not great. And like you said, this horse, and you look at his pedigree, he's supposed to do what he's been doing on the wet tracks as well. We'll see how Jerome Avenue handles the fast track this afternoon. Allured came out of that race as well. You have him 3rd, I have him 4th. You have a little bit of a price in here, Bruce Levine's 5-horse, Super Silver.
So you've got a bunch of these horses coming out of that September 21st starter allowance race where Sergeant Drive finished well ahead of the other rivals in this race. I mean, Sergeant Drive ran well that day. I don't want to take anything away from him. He's been in pretty good form recently for Rob Atras. But Super Silver, if you watch that race back, I didn't show the whole, because you'd have to watch the whole thing to really talk about it, but for some reason, Kendrick wasn't aggressive that day. He kind of came out of the gate like he wanted to take this horse to the back of the pack, and that was just curious to me for a horse that had done well showing speed in his prior starts. And from there, he actually had run coming around the far turn and was just behind a wall of horses, really had nowhere to go. He was never going to really finish in the money that day, but he would have done better. I think he would have finished ahead of a horse like Mental Model, who was 1 spot ahead of him. I just feel like Super Silver really got good at Saratoga over the summer, and maybe he has to get a little bit faster to win this race, but he's going to be a price. He's going to get a pretty good trip up close to a pace that is not predicted to be that fast, and I think I said in the pace projector here, because there is some speed in this race, but it is a situation that's projected to favor horses up near the lead, and I think Super Silver with a more aggressive ride could be in a stalking position today.
He's going to be a big price as well. Super Silver, the number 5 for David. I went to the 7 other things equal, right back to Chad Brown. Manny Franco rides this one. This horse debuted against Mind Control last summer at Monmouth. He was gone for a little over a year. They ran him on turf at Monmouth, then he came here, and I know it looks suspicious. They ran this horse for $30,000, but he aired. And he ran an 83 buyer number in the process. If he gets a little bit better, 3rd start off the year-long layoff, up close to that pace, like you said, I think this horse is going to be right there today. And another horse, I think because he ran for the 30, is going to be a little ignored on the board. I think he'll be 4-1 today.
Yeah, there were a lot of horses in this race that I did not know what to do with. Really, the only horse that I didn't like was Edict, the 3. It's going to be the big price.
I agree.
I mean, the others, you can make a case for all of them. I don't have a major knock against other things equal, other than just, the Chad Brown factor, and maybe he'll get bet off of that. But, I mean, I didn't have a problem with his last race. It was against a weaker, but he ran well. I mean, Mental Model's kind of a funny horse to discuss because he was one of the short prices in that starter allowance race I was talking about last time. And he set the pace and just sort of fell apart, but it was off a layoff. I mean, can he bounce back?
Yeah, right. Second time Linda Rice is a good angle. Now it's second time Linda Rice off the layoff. Maybe.
Yeah.
I guess it would depend on how much pressure he gets. You know, I know he's supposed to be on the lead, but Jerome Avenue off that last race as well. And I know it's hard to really handicap him off the sloppy track, but we'll see what he's going to do from the rail.
It's a weird pace scenario because there are a number of horses that could be forwardly placed, and none of them really need the lead, but they could all be up there. I mean, maybe that compromises Sergeant Drive if they're all tentative, but I mean, Sergeant Drive is arguably the most reliable horse because he ran well at this level last time.
Yeah. There could be 3 on the lead. There could be somebody loose on the lead. You never know around here. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll get to the late pick 5 on this Sunday afternoon at beautiful Belmont Park.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up at NairaBets.com for a new member bonus.
Welcome back to this Sunday edition of Talking Horses. I'm the Big A, Anthony Stabile. That's not Andy Serling. That is David Aragona. Andy will be back from vacation on Wednesday. Late pick 5 kicks off in race number 6. 1 1/8 on the inner. Allowance optional claimer. Let's take a look at the filly who figures to be the favorite here. Dream Passage. She decided to pass on the Ticonderoga yesterday, which was won by the ultra-consistent 55, who continues to dominate New York breds. And speaking of dominating, David, here's Dream Passage back on September 26th, winning this by a stone's throw.
Given the way the Ticonderoga was run, she probably would have been pretty tough in that race because nobody wanted to lead there. Maybe they decided this was an easier spot. I frankly didn't really know. Yeah, she was super impressive in this race. I mean, they ran off in the early going. She was dueling another horse. That runner finished nowhere. The runner-up in this race, Out of Trouble, came back and improved her buyer by 5 points, winning next time out. Brad Cox, I mean, this is a gigantic sample, and he just wins. I mean, he's winning a third of the time. The ROI is healthy. I don't like to send in stats that have huge samples like this. I just thought this was really impressive, that he just does really well off wins and turf routes. He gets these horses into form, and they stay in form. And Dream Passage is really an example of that because he just got this horse into good form ever since stretching her out. She just keeps getting better.
When a barn wins over 200 races a year, you're going to have a hard time finding stats that have large samples, I guess, right?
It's true.
Guy runs 1,000 horses, 900 horses every year. Yeah, I mean, she's the most logical winner of this race. I guess the only question you can have is the 9 furlongs. Is the 9 furlong, that extra 16th of a mile, even the extra 1/8 of a mile, is it going to get to off a career best effort last time out?
Yeah, I feel like at first I was going down that road and thinking that's going to be tough on her, but I've kind of changed my opinion of this horse. I kind of want to forget that she started her career as this turf sprinter because, I mean, she had no trouble getting the 1:16 last time after going really fast up front. I mean, she's going to be going 1.125 today, probably setting her own pace. The inner turf course generally favors speed horses in this situation, so, I mean, I just don't really want to think too hard about that when she's shown that she's got no trouble getting 1.16.
Yeah, okay. I mean, look, if she shows up with her A race, she's going to be very tough to beat, considering the dynamics of the race as well. When Alice Aiel figures to be the one putting the pressure on her, I don't know, maybe Rosario tries to put Jalen from the rail a little closer today. If Dream Passage wants to lead, it's
she's
her,
way
it's her
faster
speed.
than those.
She's way faster than those horses. I took one little shot with my sister Nat, half to the great Sister Charlie. She gets Sister Charlie's rider, John Velasquez, in here. And here she is with her uncoupled stablemate, Mighty Scarlet, back in August 1st at Saratoga.
I know you made that proclamation about Sister Charlie being the best turf filly in the world. Are you a little concerned now they're saying Magical might come over for the filly mare turf?
I hope she does. I hope she does. I want my price.
This is my sister Nat. She's on the outside closing in this race, whereas Mighty Scarlet was trying to weave through horses coming up the rail. My question is, has she run that well in this country, my sister Nat? I mean, hasn't she just been a big disappointment?
She has. She absolutely has. And they see the little freshening, almost a 3-month break.
Yeah.
She's getting back down here to Belmont Park. I'm going to give her one more chance. Johnny's climbing aboard. You know, these short fields, I know it looks like Dream Passage is supposed to Jose Lezcano was supposed to stretch this field out and leave them with some work to do, but you know how these races bunch and go in the 9 furlongs. Maybe Dream Passage is a little vulnerable, and this filly's pulled into the race a little earlier. We'll see. She's the only one I want to try against Dream Passage. I'll use the 2 of them in the pick 5 and hope she gets there at a little bit of a bigger price.
Yeah, I had trouble separating them. I put Mighty Scarlet second just because I thought she'd be a better price, and she was trying to come up the inside last time. That's tough to do on the turf at times. I'm just waiting for my sister now to show some of that talent that she's bred to show because I haven't seen it yet in this country.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. My problem with Mighty Scarlet is she always seems to find that trouble because they try to keep her covered up and make that move inside
I don't like
the
to
horses.
say that, but she does run into trouble almost every race.
Yeah, it's amazing how sometimes these horses, and that's probably the wrong way to articulate it, but she just seems to find traffic, to no fault of her rider either. All right, an interesting race number 6. Pick 4 kicks off in race number 7. Flat mile for the 32 claimers. I love these races. These old hard-knocking claiming horses, they get together every 3 weeks or 26 days, 25 days.
I had trouble making picks in this race. It's a really interesting, tough race with horses coming in from a variety of class levels.
We found a couple of, let's put a pace, you have a pace projector for this race, so maybe that'll help clear up an otherwise tough race. It has the number 10 Siding Springs pretty loose on the lead with Tusk on the chase.
I like to look at the pace projector just to see what it says is likely to happen. I kind of have trouble believing there's going to be a fast pace at any turf race around here. And I mean, maybe it develops because they're saying that we can get that duel between Tusk and Siding Spring. I'd imagine one of them's going to go and one of them's going to sit off, but we'll see. I mean, it could heat up. There are some stalkers in here.
And here's the horse that is projected to be loose on the lead, the number 10. She was the number 10 this day. She's number 10 today, rather. She was the 5 last time, Siding Spring. Going to get to the top in here and just basically take them on a merry chase until, no, wait, I apologize. This is back on September 8th when she sat off the pace.
Yeah, this is the race where he held off Lucky Ramsey, who's also in this race. And I thought he ran pretty well this day. It's a similar class level to what he's facing here. This was his last start for the Mark Casse barn. Last time out, he ran for Mike Maker first off the claim in a starter allowance race and thought he actually ran pretty well, arguably took a step forward for Mike Maker when he was run down by Century. He's the horse to beat. I think his form is consistently good. He just has to deal with Tusk on the front end because it's funny, I remember Tusk when he was in Graham Motion's barn a long time ago and he was more of a closing type. Yeah. Now for Jorge Navarro, he's like this runoff speed horse.
It's amazing how they find speed when they go to certain barns.
It is.
Yeah, this horse has found a lot of speed. I don't know how you felt. I felt that Siding Spring was the most logical winner of this race. Yeah. But there were just too many horses in here that intrigued me to put them on top, and I put them second, and that was it. I
feel like it's a confusing race. They're going to gravitate towards these 2 horses because they've got the recent form, but I really thought that anybody could win this race.
Okay. So you landed on the 8 local hero who's going to be a big price. Dave Canizzo, 3rd time off the claim for him. Joel Rosario is going to climb aboard.
He's probably the biggest price on the board, and I know he looks like a little bit of a stretch when you just take a glance at his PPs, but just let's go through his last 4 races. Back on July 11th, he won that nose decision over Zap Daddy with Bema's Boy in 3rd. They've come back to run very well. That race got a respectable speed figure. I thought Local Hero ran well that day. That was going the mile distance. Next time out on August 3rd, he finished behind Siding Spring, but he got a terrible trip that day, was shuffled back early, was wide around both turns, still only lost to Siding Spring by 2 lengths, even though Siding Spring got a much better trip. He was claimed by Dave Canizzo. They moved him way up in class off the claim twice, and he was just overmatched in those races. And aside from that, they went a 1.3 miles on the turf and then 6.5 furlongs on the dirt, both the wrong spots for him. Now he's back going a mile on the turf, which is his ideal distance. And I just feel like he's so dirtied up, he's going to be a big price. Is he the most likely winner? Not even close. But he's a priced horse to just throw in the mix.
Just jacked my pick 5 ticket up 20%. I appreciate you talking me into Local Hero. I'll really be happy if he pays $25. Bondurant is one of these old class horses. He never really rang the bell, but he always was close in some of these stakes. A lot of the races aren't even on his card anymore. Back when he was in the Ian Wilkes barn, they made a trainer change. He was sold. Grant Foster had him for a start or 2, and then he was claimed by Mike Maker, and they ran him last time at Kentucky Downs. You said something earlier on the show. Not going to hold any race against Kentucky Downs against the horse. So it's not first-time Maker, but to me, it's almost like this horse's first-time Mike Maker. He's running them here at Belmont. He's running them for the 32. He ran behind Applicator last time. Applicator would be a short price in here against these horses. I know he didn't do much running last time, but I'm going to forgive the Kentucky Downs race. He's going to be a middling price. He's got to be 8-1. I'll take a little shot against him, but I want to use Lucky Ramsey. I want to use Tusk. I want to use Siding Springs, and you talked me into Local Hero as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I gave Bondurant a long look. I didn't see a whole lot in his recent races, as you were saying, but he does have that back class if Mike Maker can refine his form.
Morrison was a horse who had some black class as well. We have a stat, though, for Joe Shaw.
I tried for a long time to make a case for Morrison because I think he, as you were saying, he's a horse with back class. He's got the races to win this, and he's had some minor trouble in recent starts. I saw this stat for Joe Sharp, though, first time for a tag in Turf Rouse. It's really not a strong number. He's not going to be that short of a price in this race. I just think it didn't take a whole lot to sway me in one direction or the other in this race because these horses are so difficult to separate.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Siding Springs figures to be a tough favorite today. We'll both take a little shot with some long shots against him. Race number 8, 2-year-old fillies. Going to go 6.5 furlongs on the main track. Let's get into the Wayback Machine and go back to 2010. The Ogden Phipps, and here is Life at 10. Getting the money. She's the dam of the even money morning line favorite, the number 6, Orsay.
Thought it'd be cool to show this replay. That's actually unrivaled Bell, who won the Breeders' Cup or Ladies Classic rather this year when they got to the fall, and Life at 10 just sort of flicked her away at the top of the stretch. She was in really good form for a few months in 2010, and then things kind of went awry for her. But this is one of her first few foals, Orsay, who's making her debut in this race. A $1.2 million yearling for Chad Brown. It's funny, she was entered at Saratoga the last week up there. I think she got loose, I want to say, and was scratched at the gate. Took her a long time to get back to the races, but she's reportedly working quite well for this.
And here's a stat for Chad Brown. Don't see a lot of these under 20%, but this one is 17%, a very small ROI, $1.10. And this filly figures to be a prohibitive favorite this afternoon.
Yeah, I don't like to send in stats for firsters like this that often, but I just want to be aware of it in this situation because she's likely to take a lot of money in this race. And you should be aware that while Chad Brown does very well with first-time starters across the board, the ones on dirt tend to take a little too much money because they don't win at a high enough rate to really justify the amount of money that they usually take.
Yeah, she figures to be a short price. We both put her on top. We saw it a little differently underneath. You went to the rail, Princess Pow, Michelle Nevin firster with Manny Franco. I went to the 3, Fashion Rules, a second-time starter for Shug, who's getting Lasix for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, of the firsters, I mean, the reason that Orsay is going to be such a heavy favorite is because the others go out for barns that aren't really known for connecting first time out that often. And Michelle Nevin, she doesn't have great stats with firsters, but Princess Pow, I like the pedigree title pool. She was 3rd in the Kentucky Oaks, I believe. She was a good horse for, I want to say, Dwayne Lucas.
Yep.
And this horse is a half to Torrent, who was a stakes-placed sprinter, I believe. She's been a pretty good horse. And Sky Kingdom, the sire, is a new sire, but that says stamina. We'll see if she can get the 6.5 furlongs, but she's been working pretty well, so I was interested in her. Fashion Rules, the horse, the only one with experience in this race, didn't love the debut, but I guess she can step forward.
Yeah, first-time Lasix gets Johnny up from Laurel. I just took a little shot. The 2 Bells of War, who David has 3rd, is a half to the Holy Bull winner of this year, Harvey Wallbanger, who upset the apple cart down there at the Gulfstream at a big price. Jeremiah Englehart has a firster. Summer Fortune, the number 4, runs to the way some of his barn mates ran up at Saratoga. You would think she would maybe have a say in the matter in here, but all eyes will be on the $1.2 million Orsay. We'll see if she can get the job done in her long-awaited debut. Stakes action in race number 9, the Grade 3 Athena. I think the first thing a lot of people commented was, you got a filly in mare stakes on the turf, and there's no Chad Brown running.
I know.
Here.
I did a double take. I did like 2 passes through the field to make sure I didn't miss something.
You can scratch the number 7, Arabella Bella. We have a pace projector for this race. David sent one in. Let's throw that up first. And here it is. It looks like it's going to be a fairly moderate pace on the front end here.
Yeah, because there are 2 horses that are probably going to jockey for position towards the front end, those being Candy Store and Sweet By and By. Candy Store hasn't been on the lead recently, whereas Sweet By and By led Gate to Wire fashion last time. Maybe Zenobia showed some speed on the outside, but she was setting a very slow pace, going 1 mile and an 1/8 last time, so I think the others were faster. It's not a race with a ton of pace, though, and
no. Maybe
that works against Simply Breathless, who's going to be the favorite. I didn't really care. I thought she was just the horse to beat.
Yeah, I'm with you. And here is Simply Breathless. Let's go back to June 22nd. The Wilshire out at the Great Race Place, Santa Anita, have the Breeders' Cup in less than 2 weeks out at Santa Anita. And here is Simply Breathless. You'll see her in the red, white, and orange of Matthew Chloros.
Yeah, I thought Flavian Pratt gave her a great ride this day, saving ground on the turns, angling out in the stretch, and she just sort of runs over the top of this field. Looked like she was going to go on to some better things after this. She couldn't quite get the job done at a couple of Grade 3 events out of town, but I will say she had some excuses because the mile and 3/16 in the Modesty, probably too far for her. And then last time out in that race at Kentucky Downs, that was a time with the Kentucky Downs turf course seemed to get really speed favoring, and she was trying to close from off the pace in a race that was just dominated on the front end. So I thought she ran better than it seems that day. And also, she feels like the kind of horse that Joel Rosario is just going to be a perfect fit for.
Yeah, just sit, wait, and make the one run and just try and power home like she did in that Wilshire. From off the pace with Simply Breathless to the front end, we go Sweet By and By, and here she is last time. Her and Victorine going to run 1-3 in this event where, like David said earlier, Sweet By and By went flag falter, that's all.
She really got to just walk along on the front end, and she sprinted home in this race. We'll see if she does the same thing here with Candy Store and Zenobia in the race. I don't think she's going to take that much pressure, but I did think Victorine ran well in defeat in this race, and I know I'm falling for a horse a little bit underneath that has had some chances and is disappointed in races, but she was wide to get behind that slow pace. She closed decently to be third. She does have to take a step forward to be competitive with these, but I wanted the horse that was compromised in that race, not Sweet By and By, who was sort of just getting that cozy trip up on the front end.
Yeah. Understandable. She's kind of run the same race in her last 3 races. Last time with the she was up against it last time, 81, 85, 86 on the Beyer scale. This is the third start off the break though, so for long enough break, and maybe she's ready to fire her best effort for Christophe Clement. Old Reliable, Andina Del Sur. Boy, she dances a lot of dances. This will be her 18th start, almost through her 4-year-old year. Tommy Albertrani has done a great job, not only with her, but having a fantastic meet. And here she is down the shore, less than a month ago, taking the Violet.
Yeah, she finally got a win again because she had gotten a lot of minor awards in the last couple of seasons. Pretty exciting finish in this race. She was game to get the job done. It's just Theodora B., Barca, they're not really at this level, the horses that she's just holding off here. So I thought she was stepping up in class, though she does have back races that make her a fringe player in this spot.
Yeah. That's how I felt the same way. I felt like she had some back races. I feel like in this sequence, there are a couple of tricky races, I think, in the pick 5 sequence, the late pick 5 sequence. Simply Breathless is going to be a pretty solid lean for me today.
Yeah, I was putting together a pick 4 ticket on the DRF website for today, and I really leaned heavily on Simply Breathless and just spread a little bit in the other races.
Yeah. All right, that is our Sunday feature, the Grade 3 Athena. The finale, Stay on the Turf, Widener, Maiden 40 state-bred fillies. Field stayed together in here. You could take out the 5. It allows the 13, La Rubia, to draw in. Saw this one a little differently as well. I wanted to use 5 or 6 horses in here. Amazing Zero, your top pick, was my infamous 5th pick.
Yeah, I mean, Corey Scores is going to be a heavy favorite in this race. I think it's a confusing race when you get down to the alternatives, so people are going to lean heavily on this Chad Brown trainee. And I'm a little bit concerned about Corey Scores getting the 7 furlong distance because she's one that really excelled going the 5.5 furlongs up at Saratoga, both as a 2-year-old and then this summer where she ran some superior speed figures. But last time out, she just fell apart going the 6 furlongs in a race that was well below par for her. And now they're dropping her down in class. I just wonder what we're going to get from her going the 7 furlongs because she doesn't have a whole lot of heart at the end of her races.
Must use, but kind of horse where I could never put her on top, especially going the 7/8.
Nope, I feel the same way, and we both have alternatives. You put the lightly raced Rousey on top.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I did it. She is lightly raced. She gets Lasix. She's dropping down. She gets an extra furlong. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I want to use 4 or 5 horses in here. Your top pick and the 4 I have on the board, maybe a little Trumpet, but I think my biggest play in here would be when you see Corey Scores on the board at even money, well, when they ring the bell, you almost owe it to yourself to take a little shot against it with whoever you do like in this race.
Yeah, I put Amazing Zero on top. Her debut I thought was actually okay. She didn't break that well in that race and made a decent run from well off the pace to be third. Both Mike's Girl and Winifred J, who finished ahead of her, have come back to do very well.
What about Mike's Girl the other day?
I mean,
Jonathan and I talked. I wanted to write 7 on the top of my PP so bad, my pen would not allow me to do it, and then she went and galloped.
I could not make her get that distance, but boy, did she ever. So, I mean, yeah. Anyway, Market Legacy, who won that race last time, and that entire field in that route race, just a little better than what she's facing here. And also, if you watch that trip, Amazing Zero once again broke badly and then just rushed up past the entire field to take the lead. She was very rank and keen under Rajiv Mirage. You couldn't really control her last time. Maybe she's a bit more rateable going the 7 furlongs today. That might be the right distance for her. Got to run a more professional race, but she'll be a price.
That's about it.
Yep.
That's all she wrote. Thanks for tuning in. You can play along with us today over at the only place you should be playing, and that is Naira Bets. Bet 200, get 200. Use that promo code. It is fall19. It feels like a fall day. It looks like a fall day here in the Big Apple today at beautiful Belmont Park. Fall19. You can fund your account now via Apple Pay. Fast, easy, and secure. It is now available. Go to nairabets.com/Apple Pay. Bonus Sunday, Woodbine, $10. If you bet 100 at Woodbine app only, that's for today. Earn $10 if you bet 100 on the app up in Canada at Woodbine. Finally, Breeders' Cup Bash, 10 days away, Wednesday, October 30th. We'll start at 7 o'clock post time. It'll be myself, Maggie Wolfendale, and Steve Grabowski, my HRRN partner. Tickets are $80, 4-course meal over at one of the best Italian restaurants around. PPs for the classic, souvenir, goodie bag. PayPal, the Big Ace to Bill at AOL.com. If you do not PayPal, you can contact me via that email address at the Big Ace to Bill at AOL.com. Portion of the proceeds to both Old Friends Farm and the Belmont Child Care Association. You will be back Wednesday with Andy.
Wednesday with Andy, yeah.
I will be back Thursday on to wrap up the Fall Championship meet here at beautiful Belmont Park. 10 races today, Empire 6 carryover in race number 5 to give you a reprise of the scratches and changes. The one and only Larry Comas comes up next.